Just before we get going, I'll tell you what, I'll pop my video on so you can see me. There we go. Just before we get started, can I just check you can all hear and see me okay? If you could use the raise hand function, just to let me know I'm not just talking to a laptop. Excellent, that's great. It's good to see that. I like that. Lovely, thank you so much. You should also be able to see not just myself, but you should be able to see a slide. And hopefully that's all on your screen. So today we're joined by a few presenters, and I will just, before I go ahead with the agenda for the day, just a couple of little housekeeping bits. So please use your raise hand function if you have any issues. I will then drop you a little chat in the chat box. You can use the chat function while the presentations are going on. If you want to make raise any points, create any discussion, please do use the chat function because it's a great way to interact with everybody, not just the attendees, but also the panelists. We also have the Q&A function, so please use that if you have any questions while the panelists are speaking. We are going to allow 10 minutes at the end for Q&A as well. So just pop any questions in there that you have, any thoughts you have as we go along, and then we will we'll pick those up as we go along. So I'll just move the slide on, fingers crossed. Hopefully you can see the agenda there now. So just to go through the agenda quickly with you, what we're going to do in a minute is introduce Julie Bradley. Julie Bradley is the project lead on the Economic Recovery Group for the Our People stream. She's going to sort of talk a bit more about the graduate ecosystem. We're then joined by Matthew Gardner from the Department for Enterprise, who will talk a little bit about the Manx internship programme. We're also delighted to be joined by John Keggum from Island Escapes. John has a really successful business within the visitor economy sector, and he has first-hand experience of the Manx internship programme from last summer, I believe. So can talk through his experience and how that really benefited his business. And finally, we also have Juan Belando from the Department for Enterprise, who's going to talk about the graduate role incentives. So we've got a really well-rounded, quick workshop for you today, and that should give you a really good introduction to the graduate ecosystem and all the initiatives that are going on today. So I will now hand over to Julie. Fingers crossed. We'll just bring her in.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
I can, Julie, thank you.
Okay.
Can't see you though. Do you want to? Excellent.
That working now?
Perfect. Thank you, Julie.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you everybody for coming along today. It's really encouraging to see the amount of interest that we've got in these two schemes, and thanks also to the Chamber for hosting it. So I'm just going to talk for a couple of minutes. I just wanted to update you about where these two initiatives have come from. So you'll recall that last year, I think it was in July, the Treasury Minister announced a £100 million fund was to be made available to help businesses and individuals to recover from the impact that COVID has had on us. So this £100 million fund, from that, there was a creation of different work streams, and one of the work streams was Our People. So the Our People team has been established since July. We have so far worked on a number of initiatives. The ones you may be familiar with, we obtained funding to create additional training places at UCM. And so far we've had 517 people through that. We also did run a really successful internship scheme last summer. And the one we're going to talk to you about today is really as a result of the success of that. It's slightly different. But again, last year we had 152 interns go through that scheme with funding from the ERG. The other scheme we've got on the go at the moment, again, it's been super successful, is the Manx Restart Scheme. And that was an initiative working alongside a recruitment agency. And we've created 120 placements where employers can look for employees who've been unemployed for 3 months or more, and government will fund up to 70% of the minimum wage towards that. And so far, there's just about 101 people gone through that scheme. So that gives you a bit of background about what the Economic Recovery Group have been doing, and in particular, the Our People team. Obviously, what we've done is we've looked at how the pandemic has affected different people, and obviously, you know, it'll come as no surprise to you to know that the young people, those coming through the education system, were devastated by the impact because their exams were cancelled, their studies were cancelled, their work experience and work placements were all cancelled. So we've got some people who've been really significantly affected. So we wanted to do something for our young people and to make sure that they have a level footing once they come into the workplace. So that's where we were coming from. We undertook research, we worked with businesses, we've listened very closely to the Chamber of Commerce, and we identified good case studies of schemes that already exist in the UK, and we looked at what barriers there are that affect things like graduate recruitment and intern recruitment. So from that, we've devised these two schemes that we think are going to be really important to help businesses to recover from that. There's financial support in place, but also, as I say, to give our young people an opportunity to have a meaningful work experience. We're also mindful that a lot of our graduates that go away to university choose deliberately not to come back to the Isle of Man, and we wanted really to address that because we want to be able to grow our own talent and to give our young people a meaningful and genuine work placement opportunities on the Isle of Man. So as I say, we've got two schemes that we're launching, and thank you again for your interest. Matthew is going to talk to you about the summer intern scheme. As I say, it's not dissimilar to the one that ran last year. And later, June will tell you about a brand new scheme that we're launching, never been done before in the Isle of Man, but about a graduate recruitment incentive. So there's lots going on. And again, I hope there's something that you can identify from today that you will find beneficial to helping you move forward. So thank you for now. And I shall pass you over to, I think, Matthew.
Thank you so much, Julie. We will bring Matthew in now. You there, Matthew?
Yes, we're all here. We just can't start.
Oh, wonderful.
That's great. Thank you. Can you see us okay?
Yeah, all good, Matthew.
Great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So my name is Matthew Gardner. I work in Business Isle of Man in the Department for Enterprise, and I'm managing the Manx internship program this year. So I managed it last year. It was very successful last year. So I just wanted to kind of talk about where the scheme's come from this year, any changes and kind of the benefits for taking part as a host. So we launched the scheme last year in early August 2020, and it was primarily as a result of the cancellation of the usual STEP scheme that takes place within the departments. So that's been cancelled again this year, as the team that managed that deal with all the kind of COVID related support schemes that they're doing. So this is kind of come as a result of COVID and just kind of build on the success of last year's scheme. So as Julie said, it did come from the ERG group, and it's received funding again for this year in a similar way, but there is a few key differences that I just wanted to highlight. So last year for the programme, we had 150 students, over 150 students who benefited from placements. At the date of closure, we had 322 intern applications. The majority of these were from students, but there were also some individuals who wanted to just try some work experience and try something new. And we had over 161 host applications. So there was a great input from applications from last year, and we're hoping for similar numbers again this year. And so we had some great feedback from both hosts and interns last year. It was really positive. So 97% of the hosts rated their match with an intern as good or excellent. 65% of hosts had never had an intern before in their organisation. So the programme is a really great opportunity to trial an intern if you've never had one before, to kind of get them in and see the benefits that having an intern in for even a short period can give to your business. And 94% of the interns who took part thought the work was meaningful and valuable to the host, but also it was valuable to their own experience and their future employability, which I think is a really good point to raise. So one further positive out of last year's scheme, and we're aware of at least 17 individuals who were employed by the host organisation as a direct result of the internship programme. So it shows that although it is a short kind of work placement, there is great opportunities to even hire the individuals after the placement if you see the real benefit and value to your organisation. So this positive feedback from last summer encouraged us to look towards this summer and launch the Manx internship programme for 2021. So it's continuing to emphasise the kind of recovery aspect of things with projects, and the key thing is to support the students who have missed out a lot on normal internship routes and work experience opportunities. So the programme is very similar to last year. It provides short-term work experience opportunities for individuals and students looking to take part. We have hosts and individuals who complete application forms, and the programme is for a maximum of 8 weeks for the placements themselves. So the projects that the students take place under, we ask for measurable projects. So although it is work experience, we want kind of a clear outcome for the 8-week placements, so the students can or individuals can show that they've done some certain project that's 8 weeks and they've got clear benefits out of it. And so we don't want students kind of be in the back office just doing admin work. We kind of hope that a really interesting project can come out of these host organisations that want to take part, maybe something that you haven't been able to do before with resources, or something to kind of support your COVID recovery. So the programme offers funding for interns up to the max national living wage, which is £10.19 per hour at present, for 35 hours per week across the 8-week placements. Interns are paid directly by Department for Enterprise on a monthly basis, and this kind of takes away a significant proportion of the administration involved for hosts. So we deal with all the contract side of things and all the matching process as well. So as hosts and as businesses, a lot of the admin is kind of put on the department rather than yourself. So hopefully that takes a lot of the kind of pressure off hosts themselves. So yeah, as I said, the projects that you can take place. So we had a real mix last year from a variety of sectors. So we had e-gaming sectors, finance companies, the charities, individuals from the hospitality sector as well. So a really broad range of different projects and different sectors that can get involved in this programme. And it also, although the government does have our placements are offered to government as well, the kind of key area we saw last year was benefits from smaller businesses who hadn't taken on interns, and even the larger businesses offering these really unique placements that normally wouldn't be offered to students on the island. So I think there's a great opportunity for large businesses, small businesses, and also charities as well to make the benefit of this programme. So just looking at benefits for interns themselves, we've seen really great feedback from last year's programme, just on building confidence, giving these students and individuals who may not have had proper work experience, real world work experience. They can build interpersonal skills and also to make connections on the Isle of Man. So we saw lots of times that these individuals can make connections on the island. They may go back to university or they may go back to other jobs, but they've also kind of built that key connection with a business that is really valuable, especially for young people who may not have that experience of networking and that sort of thing. There's kind of a great opportunity in that side of things. And then for hosts, there's kind of 3 top benefits that we saw for last year that I hope will be very similar to this year. So one of the top benefits was the ability to complete projects that would otherwise not have the available resource. So if you have that project that you've always wanted to do, a project that could help your business, or if you're a charity, and a project that could really boost your charitable things, it's kind of a great opportunity to use this to try something new and do these projects. The businesses also wanted to kind of offer the support to the individuals who are out of work, and it's just a great way to support students who have had a very tough time. And finally, to support their COVID recovery, a large number of the projects last year were COVID recovery focused projects. So things looking at marketing, how they can bounce back after the pandemic or lockdowns. So it's a great opportunity to use this as an opportunity to do projects that can help your COVID recovery. So in regards to funding, new hosts who have not previously participated can receive full wage funding for the 8-week placements for their interns. Hosts who've participated previously and have taken on their intern as an employee, they can receive full wage support for a new intern. Hosts who have previously participated but not employed their previous intern as a full-time employee, they can receive up to 70% funding for wage support for a new placement and another individual. And then government organisations are required to meet the full cost of the placement, which will be invoiced at the end. So there's a good amount of funding available for these things. So it kind of, I had a quick look at the stats. And so if you've taken part in the programme before, and 30% is about £100 a week contribution if you've taken part before. So compared to what you would be paying a normal full wages, it's a great offer of support through this programme. So just for how to apply, we have an application form on our website, both for hosts and students to complete. So it's an all online process. Once completed, these applications are sent through to our internship coordinator, Kirsty Jameson from CareerZest, who's a great resource for us. She's a career specialist on the island, has extensive experience in recruitment and career advice and career support. And Kirsty plays an instrumental role in matching hosts and individuals. So she runs through all the requirements of the projects and what the students and individuals are looking for, and she can help kind of match them together. So once you've put your application, the first point of call will be with Kirsty, our coordinator, to see if you can find someone, if they're suitable for your placements, and we can get things all set up through our programme. So we ask organisations to supply as much information as possible for the projects you want to do, and that really helps us make sure that the individuals and interns who we want to match are suitable for your placements. So just some stats of the programme so far. We launched our applications just over a week ago, and so far we've had over 100 intern applications from students, individuals, and some people looking for career changes just to try an 8-week project in a different sector, maybe if they're out of work. And so over 100 interns so far. So it's a great response from the students and individuals. So now we're looking kind of to really push the host side of things and get lots of host applications in, so we can make sure lots of these individuals get that experience this summer and for the 8-week placements. So as I said, it's a great opportunity for businesses and organizations to take advantage of this summer, and I really encourage you to put an application in. And if you do have a project that you think would be suitable for this placement, I think it's a great opportunity just to try an individual in your placement. And as Juan, my colleague, will talk about in a little while, the graduate role incentive can work alongside this internship placement with a few caveats. So if you did want to get someone into test for an 8-week placement, if you want to take a graduate on, it can transition into Juan's scheme that I'll talk about very shortly. Just on the final point, we've got some great testimonials on our website from previous hosts and interns that have taken place last year. So I really encourage you, if you do have any thoughts, you want to look for some further information, our website's got some great resources on there just to see hosts and different projects that have taken place previously, just to give you an idea if you want to kind of look at some support for that side of things. So I think we're now going to pass on to John Kegan, who from Island Escapes, who took part last year. And it's great to have John on the call just to provide some first-hand experience as a host and organisation of kind of what the value is of getting a young individual into the business, and to showcase kind of how a short project can support COVID recovery and that sort of things. I have to pass that to John, if that's okay.
Thank you. Yes. Opportunity chat new. And yes,
there's just an issue with your mic at the minute. I'm not sure if I want to try and pop it on again.
Yeah, sorry. John, I've just had to mute you because the sound's really bad. Could you just try your sound again for me, please?
Yeah, is that better?
No, it's really bad. I'll tell you what, I'll unhook you. We'll move on to Juan. If you could log off and log back on again, hopefully that audio will work a bit better. Juan, without putting you on the spot, can we hand over to you while John's sorting his audio out?
Yeah, not a problem. So as Matthew mentioned there, so we're introducing the graduate role incentive. So this provides 20% of the first year's salary, up to £6,000, and an employer national insurance rebate to a business which takes on a returning or an incoming graduate. So we devised this through multiple stakeholder workshops with assistance from the Chamber of Commerce, surveys and direct engagement with a number of large employers. And we feel like we've identified many of the barriers to graduate recruitment, and we've designed a package of measures to combat this. So one of the key themes that came out was that many businesses, particularly SMEs, don't have the capacity to introduce a new starter to their business with little or no work experience. So additionally, many businesses will be looking for certain professional qualifications and will not have the capacity to support an individual through these. And then on the individual side, one of the regular comments received was that whilst in some sectors the opportunities for graduates was clear, in others the career pathways were not as evident. So on this funding, there's no stipulation on what it can and cannot be used for. However, it could be recommended that the grant money be spent on maybe professional qualification costs to cover lost revenue from study leave, or time spent on mentorship of that graduate by senior staff. So the intention of this is to increase the range and number of graduate opportunities, which will be captured in a graduate-focused webpage that we're going to be releasing, and will feature a jobs board pulling through relevant job listings from the job centre. So there's a number of requirements for this funding, as you can see on the screen now. So the role must be full-time regular employment lasting no less than a year. It must require an RQF level 6 qualification or higher in the job description. So this is to ensure that the supported role will be of graduate level and will have sufficient opportunities for development. It must be a new job to grow the firm's existing headcount. Where overall headcount is reduced, it must show an increase in headcount in the section of the business the role has been created in. So this is to ensure that existing employees are not placed at undue risk of being replaced by a recent graduate. So every application must carry a development plan for the graduate. So this is to ensure that the employment again carries sufficient opportunities for growth, including criteria for the graduate to be retained following the end of the funded period. And this is also to ensure that the graduate will have sufficient opportunities for development. So the role must offer a minimum starting salary of 21,000. And obviously, if we're taking 20% of a salary there, the actual cost of the business is probably more like 16, 17,000. And finally, if the business makes recurring graduate hires, so for instance, through a graduate scheme, the places funded would be over an average taken from the previous 5 years. So for instance, if a business took on, let's say 2 a year for the previous 5 years, then this year they want to take on 3, then that 1 extra would then be eligible for funding. So I think that's pretty much all from me. Do you want to try going back to John?
Thank you so much, Stu, and we'll see if we can bring John on, and if it's not working, we'll go straight to Q&A. Okay, John, give it a try.
Okay, is that working any better?
He's back.
Can you hear me?
Oh yes, that's better. Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, so my business, Island Escapes, we manage holiday accommodation on the Isle of Man, and we've been growing quite significantly pre-COVID, and we were expecting a very busy season last year, and I was just about to start recruitment in kind of March last year, when obviously everything fell apart and we had to halt all of those plans and really kind of just begin the process of cancelling all of our bookings for the year ahead, and it was all a bit of a messy situation. However, as time went on, the situation improved. The locals started talking about staycations and looking to sort of holiday closer to home, and the business started to show some sort of signs that we were going to recover. But I was equally quite nervous about recruitment, even though I was desperate for help. I was working stupid hours, or I had so many projects to try and undertake. But that step of employing somebody was quite a risky one, especially for a relatively new business. And I heard about the internship program last summer, and that just seemed an obvious choice for me to offload some of the projects, give somebody some work experience, and also allow me to try and figure out what it was I actually needed and the help and support I needed. And so I took on 2 interns, and one of them I've subsequently offered a full-time position to. So Nick joined me first of all. He has a degree in marketing, and I gave him some specific projects to undertake in relation to our customer management and our mailing lists, looking at segmenting our customers, looking at a variety of projects really in relation to marketing. But also he was shadowing me a lot of the time and actually just getting a real grip of what we were doing. And then the other intern I took on was looking at creative design, and he designed us a marketing campaign for our staycation business and has helped us with a portfolio of imagery, of content. We've got so much, he was able to provide us with enough content to see us through the rest of the year. But on the back of that, he then went on and got a job doing creative design for another business on the island. But he used our experience to build his portfolio, and he was able to kind of go in and get a full-time position at a bigger business. I was never going to be able to employ somebody to do graphic design on a full-time basis, and so that opened the door for him. Whereas Nick, my other intern, he stuck with me because we've got more of a rounded role really. At the time, I wasn't too sure what the job description was going to look like, and this intern program really helped us try and define that job description and get him some meaningful tasks that would really support me. And it was very, very clear after kind of, as the weeks went by, it was 6 weeks to start with, and I asked, could we extend it, because I could see the value. We were only kind of, I think before I'd gone into this, I thought, I'm not sure 8 weeks is really going to work, because it's going to take me that long just to teach the business. But these people are very keen to learn. They're young, they're enthusiastic, and I think in the first week, there was a clear contribution being made into the business, and I think as a small company, we probably really picked up on that and appreciated it. So I'm going to look to do it again this year, and it has probably been the key thing that changed and my business last year really was being able to sort of benefit from that. I'd say that was probably the biggest benefit I received in support from the government would be this program. Other elements of financial support have been helpful, but I think this one has contributed most in what I've got out of it as far as value is concerned. And that's probably all I've got to say on it really. If anyone's obviously got any questions, I think we're coming to that shortly.
Thank you so much, John. It really is interesting to hear. And I know, I mean, I've been with you, I've heard the conversation you had. I remember you coming to say to me, I need to take someone on, but I just don't know if I want to make that commitment. And these sorts of things are what are absolutely perfect for that. And us ourselves at Chamber have also taken on an intern. We had an intern in January that did a great project for us. We've got someone in on the Restart programme. So these programmes do work really, really well. I am just bringing everybody on because we have a few questions. I'm just going to stop screen sharing as well. Right, okay, that's better. Now, I'm just going to read through a couple of the Q&As because I just need to check. I don't know if people can actually see the Q&A box when it's only me, so I'm just going to read through them all. I know Julie has answered a couple of them live, but I'll just read through the questions and the answers to ensure everybody's seen that. So one person had just interestedly asked what the figures were on the number of students that don't return to the Isle of Man after their degree. And actually, Julia said it's very interesting, it's about 50%. Come back and 50% stay. Somebody has asked also, would it be possible to take on more than one intern and stagger the start dates by 4 weeks so they can manage projects and ensure the interns are being supported? And Julie says, yes, absolutely right, that is possible. Excellent. Jess Lamel says, with the graduate scheme, if you've taken someone on in the last 3 months that meets the criteria, would they be eligible retrospectively? Julie, can you answer that one?
I suspect not, because obviously we haven't fully opened the scheme yet, but I'd be happy to confirm that either way. Jewin?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so Jess, if you want to get in touch.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Jewin?
Yeah.
I suspect we can't apply it retrospectively. Is that?
No, unfortunately not. It needs to be before the employees commenced with the business.
Yeah.
Like with the employee relocation.
Oh.
Okay, thank you very much for clearing that up.
You could perhaps apply for a second one, Jessica.
Yeah. Nicola's asked, many businesses struggle with the resources required to supervise and train any graduates and interns. Is there a recommended amount of time that should be set aside for supervision or training on a day-to-day basis? Really good question.
So I think that will probably differ on the role and the business that the intern or graduate will be undertaking. But we are also, it was briefly mentioned on the introduction slide, we're looking to introduce employability training. So this can provide training on sort of cross-sectoral skills that would be useful to a number of small and medium-sized businesses. Things like maybe basic social media management and maybe project management, Excel, that sort of thing. So again, it would differ dependent on the role, but we have introduced this sort of support to try to assist that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Stuart said, we recognised when we did our research that lots of employers said, I don't have the time to do a lot of training. So we're going to put together a package of sort of skills that we can, deliver to the intern that would mean that businesses don't have to take on that additional burden, if you like. So yeah, good question.
Yeah.
The internship as well, just when you put your application in for a project, it's making sure that project is suitable for the 8-week period. And I know lots of different projects can be looked at, but just making sure it's something that could fit in that 8 weeks and someone could take up quite quickly to get going with it rather than a long training process. So it's just making sure the project fits well is also a point I think is quite good to make on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Jonathan said also, what is the earliest I can start? I'm not entirely clear on the question on that one, Jonathan, if you can. Do you want to know when this scheme actually starts?
For internships, we're open for applications now, and we've already started matching. So those ones we can set up quite quickly and match quite quickly. We ask both hosts and students to put the earliest available start dates on their application forms. So those are the basis that we go off for when we start those placements. But there are roles